within the window now when we
Hold
would
on.
expect to hear from the jury their verdict in the case of former Officer Chauvin. While we await that verdict, let me bring in Eugene Robinson. He's a Washington Post columnist
Dude, we're
and
live,
NBC News political analyst.
Oh,
Eugene,
excellent.
always good to see you.
Just
this
in
is a
time.
moment of
Hold
deep
on.
breath for everyone. We're all emotionally tied to the story because we were witnesses to it to the extent that we saw that videotape of George Floyd dying under the knee of a police officer.
Did you watch the
As
videotape,
we
Ivan?
await this,
Hold on, bro.
this
I gotta-
verdict on
I got to see if I
three
can get the title
charges,
on here. One sec.
what, in your view,
Okay.
should we be keeping in mind? What's our deep breath? What should it look like right now?
Well, we should try to remember that this verdict will be about the specific officer and what he specifically did that day to George Floyd. That this is a micro situation with macro implications, with implications for the whole country, and for so many of us. For so many African American men, Lester, it's personal. It feels intensely personal. Could that have been me under Derek Chauvin's knee for 9 minutes and 29 seconds? Could it have been one of my sons who found himself in that situation? And so this case, it's not just that it has taken on an outsized importance, it really does symbolize so much about this country's 400-year struggle with race and this country's, frankly, refusal to sort of acknowledge and grapple with the concept and reality of systemic racism. Especially in policing, and so we've been so many of these incidents, and so many of these.
All right, buddy, we're live,
and
man, right
frankly,
now.
we've seen
If
so
you
many
want,
verdicts go
we can
in
send.
favor of
If you want to
police
tweet the
officers who
following,
were
or
acquitted.
there's a
Yeah,
little.
how do I
There
find
was
the
a
link
sense
to the
in this
live?
case,
I'm gonna send that to you right now.
I'll tweet it. Yeah,
because
just
it was
text it to me or
9
put it in
minutes
WhatsApp, and I'll put it out there right now.
Because the video went around the world,
Here we go.
there was a sense that this is where we have to draw a line, that this has to be seen as unacceptable by everyone, regardless of race, whoever
sending it to
you
you.
are. You have to see this as having been unacceptable.
It's in your WhatsApp.
So now the question is that the way the jury saw it? And will the jury, in essence, ratify what many of us all think we saw in that video, or will they take a different view? And what does that say to African Americans and to us personally about how we were
Make
seen
sure they
in
know
this
it's our
country
first
and how we
live.
are treated and how we are
I gotta take this
regarded?
thing
George Floyd was not treated like a citizen by Derek Chauvin. It wasn't treated like a member of the public that Derek Chauvin was sworn to protect. I think we could all agree on that. Yet that's what we're supposed to be, and that's what
Okay, I got the link. I'm sharing it right now.
And
Hey, test that out first. Test that link out on a different browser. Okay.
I tested it out on Chrome.
Okay, good.
For mobile, so I think we're in good shape.
I'm trying to see if I can get rid of this subscribe button that's over my name.
This has got to be difficult for them.
How do I do that?
And it's certainly got the rest of us on tenterhooks just waiting to hear what they decided.
Yeah,
Don't put George Floyd trial verdict. It's the Derek Chauvin trial.
Country in this world, and certainly have to have some inkling,
You know what I'm saying?
if not a
Spell
lot of
that.
inkling about the climate in this country.
Derek,
Robinson,
T-E-R-E-K.
NBC's Gabe Gutierrez. I understand our audio connection is
C-A-U-V-I-N.
back, and so Gabe, let me ask you about what will happen in the courtroom.
There you go.
The verdict will be read.
I'm gonna wait to load it so it loads up the right title.
Well,
So it's not George Floyd that's on trial, it's Derek Chauvin.
It's fixed. Check it out, refresh.
Refreshing it.
They'll go through the three charges, as you've been discussing: second-degree murder, third-degree.
So I'm just gonna mute that for now until we just see what's going on, but we can kind of chat.
There we go. Got it. Damn, fourth element. Okay.
Did I spell his last name right? Chauvins.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what, man. It's It only took him 2 days. I mean, I don't really know much about, what it means if you're in like a long deliberation or a short one. But technically, usually when it's short, it's like pretty quick, right? Like it's like it's a guilty plea. It's a guilty, but at least from what I gather on Law and Order, right?
Right.
But we'll see.
I mean,
it's gonna get crazy, dude. I mean, I don't really think. I mean, it's gonna get crazy if he's found innocent, but I mean, I don't think it's gonna get as crazy if he's found, guilty. I think people are expecting that. I think across all walks of life, man, not just people of color. I think everybody. I mean, I have a lot of friends that are white that are just like, dude, this guy needs to go to jail. Period. Full stop. So just so you know, there's a little lag between us and the live stream.
okay, so I'm tweeting, watch Pablo and Ivan live stream the verdict of
If there is a
Chauvin trial.
I wouldn't say watch us live stream. Just say that we're commenting on the live stream.
Reacting.
Yeah, there you go. Concurrent viewers. Let's see here. Stream health. Let's look at this. Yeah, we got a good stream. All right, I'm going to put this off of mute for now.
The next several minutes is based on the window we've been given, the verdict to be announced by the jury in the Derek Chauvin case. Let me go to NBC.
What time is our interview with Leanne?
Covering the reaction of the city. You've been talking to some of the
I think it's
demonstrators.
at 5.
Megan,
I don't know. I think she said 5:30.
Anticipate
That was when you booked.
Let me see.
Yeah, Lester, we were out here yesterday when shortly after those closing arguments,
Megan
hundreds
Fitzgerald
of people filled the streets here in Minneapolis calling for justice for George Floyd. And we talked to people asking them what they
All right, I'm almost done sharing this, and then I can comment.
verdict for Derek Chauvin, but they also want to see changes systemically to the way that police in our country. This is a deeply personal moment, a deeply personal trial for people all across the country, and we see that. And
yeah, 5:30.
Seeing that with the diverse crowds of people that have come out in protest across the nation. We talked yesterday to people who flew in from different parts of the country, saying it was important for them to be here to show support to George Floyd's family. In fact, I had an opportunity to speak with them yesterday, asking them how they felt as we awaited the verdict.
This is cool.
They said that they're
Going live.
anxious, they're ready for this entire process to be over, but that they're very hopeful that Derek Chauvin.
Well, right now we're not live because you're just looking down at your phone.
They realize the magnitude, just
leave it
the
on, it's fine.
gravity of this case.
And
So I'm gonna have to drop this around 5:15, 5:20 at the latest.
They say a modern day lynching,
Why?
as they call it.
Because I got to do the 5:30 interview with Leanne.
For George Floyd. If there's not
Oh.
here,
What if it doesn't? What if the verdict doesn't come yet?
What am I going to tell Leanne when I go to interview them?
No, we have to push it a little. It said between 5 and 5:30. It's not going to run too much later than 5:30.
Well, we'll see.
We're in that window now. That's what Lester Holt said.
Is Lester Holt always right?
Down there in Minneapolis, watching the crowds. Thank you, NBC News legal analyst Paul Butler is a former prosecutor.
Lester Holt's the man.
Georgetown School of
For
Law
sure.
professor.
I got to make an
Paul,
overlay
just
like
give me your
this, bro.
thoughts as we,
Like the one he has right here when he's on video, and then on the side, the video.
I like how their overlays are dark red, sort of gradient, But you see how it highlights that first name, Paul Butler. How it's a little bit brighter red.
Yeah, I'm actually. I was playing around with motion today, trying to make those. And I'm just kind of trying to learn it just a little bit. There's a lot of work, man. It's not easy.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think it'll be easier as I play around with it more, but for the most part, I mean, I've just been looking at some training so I can kind of figure this out.
Cool. But if you notice, none of their graphics on screen are moving. You know what I mean? Like there is the ticker.
Thank you very much. Let me bring in
The NBC graphic isn't rotating. There's no show graphic per se. It's just an NBC broadcast, a special report.
I'm gonna turn this down just to see when the judge comes on, and then we're patiently waiting.
So if you look at the MSNBC screen where it says NBC News and special report, that's something I could make with Moneda moves and
Well,
interview.
I can make the exact same thing. I'm just trying to.
No, yeah, me too.
Can you?
Now that I
Can you
now that I
animate
run
them?
our graphics,
Can you animate?
I can animate them actually. Yes.
All they gotta do is be in like an MP4
I can bring them from the
file.
side. I can bring them up. I can
Yeah, dude, knock it out,
down.
dude.
Okay.
You know what? As a matter of fact, when you get a chance, let me know, and then we'll see if there's a way for you to get access to motion.
Well, I think that like the thing is, okay, so what Canva has is as a graphic design platform.
We don't want to talk about Canva during this. We can talk about Canva another time, bro. Let's talk about what's about to go down.
Well, let me ask you this: did you ever watch the George Floyd video?
Oh, dude, yeah, I think the entire world has watched it.
I haven't watched it.
You haven't watched it at all?
No.
Oh, yeah, it's definitely I mean, honestly, dude, I hope nothing goes. I hope he's guilty, and I hope people just go home and celebrate and don't burn things down, man, because the cops and the National Guards it's about to get ugly, bro. Like, I think it's gonna get ugly.
The thing is, though, it's multiple charges, so I wonder what the outcome will be if they split. Like, I don't know what the legal term is, but like split the vote. So it's like some of them is guilty and some of them is not guilty. You know what I mean?
They can't. For all of these, they have to. From what I've been watching, it's basically it's got to go either unanimous he's guilty, or he's unanimous not guilty. If they just have one person that's like then it's a hung jury and it's done. It's a mistrial. So I mean, the orders are pretty much, here's all these counts. From what I've been watching, it's got to be unanimous one way or the other. I mean,
what for you have been the most interesting points in the trial so far that you've been able to catch?
You know, I think for me, seeing how the defense tried, like they literally tried to throw so much stuff on the wall to see what stuck, to see if the jury reacted in a way where they can kind of go. I mean, obviously, no one really saw what the jury's reaction was. They didn't have them on film or on camera. But, I mean, it's just they even brought in like this pathologist that's been doing it for like almost 40 years. And the guy grew up in South Africa, dude, during like the 80s, bro. It's like, really? You guys brought this South African from the 80s, you know, during like the heart of apartheid, to come in and be like, oh yeah, you know, he didn't die from the knee. He died from natural causes, pretty much. Like,
so they really discredited the expert witness when it came to the actual cause of death.
Well, I don't think they discredited. I think they tried to bring in these other actors into it. Okay. That obviously, it's, you know, hey, you're always going to be able to get a witness that says the opposite of what the prosecution's witness is saying. Here, I'll turn it up real quick. Let's see what they're saying.
And I'll text Leanne and just tell her, like,
no.
We'll have to do this.
Well, who's the interview with Corey Hall? We don't want.
Dude, that's Gabe Gutierrez. He's Latino. The guy that's interviewing her, he's a Latino guy.
After a year of being apart from each other, that we come together for the stuff that matters. You know, this has affected every single one of us that not only lives here, but across our nation, across our world. And we came here because we need justice, and we deserve justice, and we need something to change.
You were also telling me it's been really tough.
What an interview.
Have you been able
Great
to
job.
watch this trial?
No, I haven't been able to watch any of it. It's been traumatizing, reliving it over and over and over and over again. I haven't even watched the video of him being murdered. It's just, it's too much.
See that?
Yeah,
It's too
I
much.
haven't either.
It's a lot to handle, bro.
What is the significance of this trial?
And I think what did it for me, dude, I mean, obviously it's obvious in my mind that the guy just was like, I think the look on Chauvin's face when he was doing it, he had this look on his face, bro, like he was like, you know what, I can do this and there ain't nothing you can do about it. That's the kind of look he had.
Have you seen that look before as somebody who was in the military?
Nah, I don't think I've seen that look. Not the look that he had. I mean, that look was pretty. It was pretty like they knew, those 3 cops or 4 cops. They knew that there was no way that those people were going to do anything. I mean, they probably would have, you know, taken them down with some bullets and stuff, right? But
I mean, what are you going to do as a bystander though if like 4 cops are on a guy? Like, I can't handle 1 cop, let alone 4. You know what I mean?
Oh man, I know, man. I don't know.
All you can really do, it seems like, is film it. You know?
Yeah.
Justice. We've been asking for what we deserve.
I mean,
are you kidding me?
the wherewithal with that girl that recorded it, that was one of the witnesses, and she walked. I guess she said like she had walked by, saw it happening, was like, "What the heck?" But then she kind of like turned back around. She's like, "You know what? I got to go record this, no matter what, no matter how hard it is to watch." She had to record it, and it was one of those moments where, and then she had that young girl that was like 9, like 10 or 12 years old or whatever, young girl that also was like, man.
Mabel, please, dude. If you want to read a messed up story, look at what they did to the dude that filmed the Eric Gardner murder by the NYPD.
Oh, I don't know what they do to him.
If I remember correctly, it was something like the guy that filmed it was just standing off to the side, because everybody remembers the cops kind of grabbing him by the neck and bringing him down, you know? Well, that camera angle, the famous one, I feel like a month later or so, I don't remember the specifics, but it was like they planted a gun on him, or that's the way it read anyway. It was just like he went down hard, like hard, right? Like after filming that. I remember that and just being like shook by it. Like, what?
Well, I'll tell you what, man.
What?
I mean, that's
cops don't like to be filmed, man.
No.
Something I've been to many of these protests over the last year.
They're not like us YouTube stars.
I wouldn't go as far as saying YouTube stars just yet. What are you drinking?
Potentially, you might feel
it's a little vino.
What did you text Leanne?
Oh,
well, we got time, bro.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Feel heard, and I think we will feel heard when they convict him.
Yeah. What time is it? Okay. So yeah,
we're radio silence again.
What do you think this means again? You know, do you think policing in
Do you think if we ask her to push it back 30 minutes, and then I'll ask Monday to push
it? Nobody's gonna want to do it during the Chauvin verdict reading. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If we're able to look
We'll be
at
fine.
Well,
This is a really great interview Gabe's doing, though.
It was never founded to support people that look like me. So there needs to be change. There needs to be an evolution, right? So we need to stop doing the same thing and expecting different results.
She's a great interviewee.
We really appreciate you taking the time. So Lester, her comments are something we've heard over
kicks it back to Lester. He's so
here.
smooth.
Just a very, she said she was traumatized listening to this trial, had a very tough time listening to it. You see a frustration among many of the folks here wondering what the verdict will be. But, I wanted to share her story with you because it is something we've heard over and over again, not just over the past couple of days, but really since the death of George Floyd last May.
And Gabe, thank you for sharing that interview. It was a good interview, and we appreciate it. I want to, first of all, let you know we are at 3:54 Central Time right now, near the end of the half hour in which we were told that we would be hearing the verdict. But as you know, things move on their own time, so we're not going anywhere. We'll continue to wait for that jury.
Man, Lester Holt, he's so easy on the ears. You know what I mean?
Oh, dude, he really is, man. I just watched all 3 seasons over the last week of Newsroom. I mean, I got to go back and watch a couple episodes just because I was up late and I passed out. But, dude, that's like I'm surprised that show only lasted 3 seasons.
Yeah, I mean, actually, I think that you'll find this, actually, oddly enough, I think you'll find the same about Alpha House. When you watch Alpha, you're going to love Alpha House. Trust me. It's so worth it.
What streaming service?
If anybody's actually watching that, these are shows we've been recommending to each other.
What streaming service is that on?
It's a Showtime show, but I'm sure you can get it on Prime.
I'm going to have to check it out.
So what's your prediction then? Or do you not have any? I haven't watched any of the trial. That's the thing. I've been focused on other things.
I think that, I think the fact that they deliberated only for 2 days, I think he's guilty. I think the prosecution did a good job. I mean, the guy, like I said, the defense guy,
I feel like they'd have been better off, though, if somebody came out like half an hour later and was just like, yo, this guy's toast.
Well, but then you got to think of it from like, being inside that, being sequestered with all the jurors. I mean, it's like 2 days. They get all the evidence. They go in there. Ivan,
walk us through how Maxine Waters has played out into this conversation.
Well, from what I saw yesterday and in the closing arguments, what was going on was the judge actually made a comment, and I don't know the exact comment off the top of my head, but he made a comment to the defense basically saying, paraphrasing, that because of the comments of Maxine Waters, he didn't, he just called her congressional, representatives, that there might be there might be an opportunity, like in an appeal, for the defense to, try to have this verdict overturned, right? Hold on
Right.
one second. And I'm just gonna put you on mute for a second as I say this, but I'll put you back off mute in a sec. But yeah. So but that was also like dumb on Maxine Waters' part. I mean, I think any congressional person should have just been like, hey, let's just wait till the verdict is done and then say what you got to say. But the judge, while he did say that there might be an opening, kind of, quote unquote, on an appeal, that it could get overturned because of those comments. I mean, he did also reference that, he trusts that the jurors, have been sequestering themselves and not to be looking at, news stories or paying attention to the media, and really just, going in, being the jurors, going back to where they got to go and doing their job. I mean, but, dude, it's 2021, bro. And I mean, unless they took their phones away, I mean, can you imagine the discipline that you would need to have in order to not look up something about the trial on your phone when you're sitting there? I mean, it was like almost a 2-week trial. The prosecution had like 45 witnesses.
Let's say you were one of the jurors, Ivan, like, would you tell your family and stuff as you text them? Would you tell them from the onset, don't tell me anything, or would you want to know?
Oh, you know what? I've never been a juror. I've been asked, and I've never, I've been able to get out of it. But these are part of the kind of cases that I would want to be a part of. But yeah, I would just do what was expected of me. I would just be like, yeah, you know what? Here's my phone.
Yeah.
Turn it off. Don't read anything. Don't text me.
I would want to talk to my family and, maybe a friend or two, but like I would make very clear to the people who I would be in contact with through this process that I don't want to know anything about the trial. Like, we can watch fucking Bachelor or something like that or whatever. Like, we could watch shows, we could watch Newsroom, we can watch whatever. But I don't know about what Maxine Waters said.
I don't know if I would. I think I wouldn't trust. I wouldn't trust. Not. I would trust myself, but I can't control other people, what they're gonna say. So I would probably just disassociate and just be like, look, I'm just gonna be dialed in on this trial and see what happens, and then just kind of. But dude, I mean, when they opened up that trial and they had the opening statements and they showed that 9-minute and whatever 29-second video, I mean, dude, it's just, I mean, it was just like, dude, the guy was. I was thinking about this, like, if you watch that video, no matter what happens, it's like, how can anyone think that he wasn't trying to? I'm not going to say he was maliciously trying to kill him, but he just didn't care. He didn't have a care in the world. And I was even thinking, like, if I was a juror in that jury, and if there's people in there that are like, well, you know what, trying to be on his side, I would be like, hey, how about this? How about you put your knee on me and let's see how long it takes before I pass out? Because seriously, it's like, unless like the defense trying to blame like the drugs that he was on. I'm not saying that, obviously being on drugs probably wasn't.
What drugs was he on? I'm just curious. What did they bring up?
Apparently he was on fentanyl. I think he was on. They said he was on fentanyl. I think, but the guy was a big dude, bro. And the question is, like, the defense was trying to, that.
Plus, it's like, isn't fentanyl in like all kinds of stuff?
I don't know. I don't know
what fentanyl is. Like, I've never even seen it. But like, at the same time, man, they always try and put like that kind of shit. Like, it used to be whenever they would invest like a Mexican or whatever, you read through like the old newspaper.com archives, they arrest a Mexican and be like, dude, this guy was high on weed and that made him really dangerous. Now today on 420, we know that's absurd. You know what I mean? I don't know what fentanyl does to people, but like, you know what I mean? Yeah, that's stupid. I don't even know. So actually, I got a text just now from Cora Cervantes at La Cervantes. She says, and I know you just answered this question, but what are your thoughts on Maxine Waters' comments? And you said you thought, they were kind of dumb. She should have probably not said that. But I think it's interesting that Nancy Pelosi actually immediately backed her old friend Kerosene Maxine. You know what I mean?
Kerosene Maxine.
That's what they call it. Maxine Waters, Kerosene Maxine, during the she was sort of like, She was like the enforcer on the Clinton side of the Clinton impeachment trial with Barney Frank. So she and Barney Frank were like just, thing one and thing two on the 1-2 punch, defending Clinton and like blasting back against, I guess, like what would have been like Newt Gingrich would have been like maybe Speaker of the House back then. But long story short, Kerosene Maxine has a friend in Nancy Pelosi because she was just like, man, whatever, Like,
she's a little cuckoo, man.
She does not have to apologize for anything. I will say this. Another thing, I was talking to another reporter about this. Maxine Waters' staff. They are the very best. They are the very best dressed staff in Congress.
What did Leanne say real quick? Because I can't look at my phone because it all. I think I might be able to look over here.
I texted her. I said, "Yo, can we go after the Chauvin verdict?"
What'd she say?
Yeah.
Did you tell her we're live streaming?
Yeah. I sent her the link. Cora says she's watching. So hi, Cora.
What's up,
Cora? Can't wait to have you back on. That's awesome. Okay. So we got Lester Holt and we got a camera on like what looks like, I guess, the opposite building, or what is that? A building shot or a helicopter? I guess that's a helicopter shot. It's kind of rotating.
Yeah, that's an aerial shot. Yeah.
And then
let's see what Lester's saying. Hold on.
In case we still are, we were expecting to hear it in the last half hour, but we remain with you as the wheels of justice turn toward the verdict in this case. The jury formally deliberating a little over 10 hours before reaching their decision here.
10
early
hours, bro.
afternoon Minneapolis time.
They were like, "Oh man, this is like I don't care what this defense guy said. It's like this guy's done, man."
I bet like they went in there and they were like, "Yo, if we walk right back out,
yeah,
they'll
know we didn't. They'll think we didn't do our job." But it's like,
yeah. So we'll take the night to sleep on it. But
yeah, no doubt, man. That's like,
this guy.
But because I honestly think like, dude, if you really kind of take a step back, yeah, dude, look at him, dude. He just like look at that look right there as he has his knee on this dude's neck.
That's chilling.
Yeah,
he's chilling.
He's like, you can't do nothing about it. That's exactly. He's like, what? What are you
gonna
do
get back?
about it?
You want to get shot?
Yeah,
because I got my other hand free, right?
Yeah.
And it's on my gun.
Yeah, it was just.
Damn, man, what a monster,
dude! I bet you like you go in there and those guys, the jurors were probably like, hey, it's like unless everyone in here saw something different on that video, it's like it's pretty obvious. It was like it's. But then again, bro, hey man, I was in the Navy, dude, and I had just moved. I had just transferred to Guam during the '92 riots, and I mean they caught those cops beating the shit out of frickin' Rodney Pete, and those guys walked. I mean, here he comes.
Wow.
Hold on, let's see what he says.
Many times since the death of George Floyd, and if you can put this into context for us, for our viewers, how significant is this moment?
What did Leanne say about the guest, Corey Hill?
Yeah, we're good. She's checking with her.
Yeah, make sure. And can you also send Mungie a text and let her know that we're running? Here he is. Here it goes.
Oh shit. Okay.
Shit's about to go down.
They're standing as the jury now is led into the courthouse. Of course, we have not, and we will not see the jury, but all the participants and spectators are standing.
Wow. The whole world's watching right now, bro.
Yeah, everybody. It's one of those moments you can feel.
I'm like nervous. I just got goosebumps and I'm nervous.
Same.
Órale, vamos.
Members of the jury, I will now read the verdicts as they will appear in the permanent records of the 4th Judicial District.
Let's just get to it.
State of Minnesota, County of Hennepin, District Court, 4th Judicial District. State of Minnesota Plaintiff versus Derek Michael Chauvin, Defendant. Verdict, Count 1. Court file number 27, CR 20-12646. We, the jury, in the above entitled matter as to Count 1, unintentional second-degree murder while committing a felony, find the defendant guilty. This verdict agreed to this 20th day of April, 2021 at 1:44 p.m. Signed, juror foreperson, juror number 19. Same caption, verdict count 2. We, the jury, in the above entitled matter as to count 2, third-degree murder, perpetrating an eminently dangerous act, find the defendant guilty. This verdict agreed to this 20th day of April, 2021 at 1:45 p.m. Signed by jury foreperson, juror number 19.
Thank you, God.
Same caption, verdict count 3. We, the jury, in the above entitled matter as to count 3, second-degree manslaughter, culpable negligence, creating an unreasonable risk, find the defendant guilty. This verdict agreed to this 20th day of April 2021 at 1:45 p.m. Jury foreperson 019. Members of the jury, I'm now going to ask you individually if these are your true and correct verdicts. Please respond yes or no. Juror number 2, are these your true and correct verdicts?
Yes.
Juror number 9, are these your true and correct verdicts?
Yes.
Juror number 19, are these your true and correct verdicts?
Yes.
Juror number 27, are these your true and correct verdicts?
Yes.
Juror number 44, are these your true and correct verdicts?
Yes.
Juror number 52, are these your true and correct verdicts?
Yes.
Juror number
Damn, I wish he
55,
wasn't
are
wearing a
these your
mask
true
so
and
we could
correct
look him in the
verdicts?
face.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Juror number 79, are these your true and correct verdicts?
Yes.
We're good on booking, dude.
Juror number
I told him.
85, are these your true and correct verdicts?
Yes.
Juror number 89, are these your true and correct verdicts?
Yes.
Juror number 91, are these your true and correct verdicts?
Yes.
Juror number 92, are these your true and correct verdicts?
Yes.
Are these your verdicts, so say you one, so say you all?
Yes. Yes.
Members of the jury, I find that the verdicts as read reflect the will of the jury and will be filed accordingly. I have to thank you on behalf of the people of the state of Minnesota for not only jury service, but heavy duty
Guy
jury
shan't see
service.
daylight again.
What I'm going to ask you to do now is to follow the deputy back into your usual room, and I will join you in a few minutes to answer questions and to advise you further. So, all rise for the jury.
Cuff him.
Bye. Oh. Yeah, people out on the street are fucking. Damn, yo, the people out on the street here in DC are like yelling, "Fuck that guy!" Yeah.
With the guilty
fuck
verdicts
that
returned,
guy.
we're going to have Blakely. You may file a written argument as to Blakely factors within 1 week. The court will issue findings on the Blakely factors, the factual
George
findings.
Floyd, may
1
your
week after
soul
that.
rest in peace now.
We'll order a PSI immediately, returnable in 4 weeks. And we will also
I have to ask his
have
family about
a
that after
briefing
this.
on, after you get the
PSI.
PSI, 6 weeks from now, and then 8 weeks from now, we will have sentencing. We'll get you the exact dates in a scheduling order. Is there a motion on behalf of the state?
Your Honor, the state would move to have the court revoke the defendant's bail and remand him into custody pending sentencing.
Bail is revoked, bond is discharged, and the defendant is remanded to the custody of the Hennepin County Sheriff. Anything further?
All
All right. Thank you.
Derek Chauvin, convicted on all 3 counts, guilty of second-degree unintentional murder, third-degree murder, and second-degree manslaughter in the death of George Floyd, and leaving the courtroom in handcuffs. Chauvin remanded in the custody of the sheriff in anticipation of his sentencing. Now, 8 weeks from now, we want to go right to NBC's Gabe Gutierrez outside the courthouse. Gabe, describe the reaction.
There's that girl again.
Lester, just an incredible reaction here.
Yeah, she's
a few moments ago, this entire crowd
find.
erupted in cheers. They started chanting all 3 counts. And the reaction can best be summarized by Bree Graham. She's the woman I spoke with just before this verdict was read, who told us that she had been traumatized watching this trial. Bree, what is your reaction? And when that verdict was read, what went through your head?
I honestly, I don't really have the words for it right now, and I'm trying to take everything in. And it feels like we can take the day to celebrate that we're finally getting a taste of justice. And then tomorrow we move on to Dante, and we keep doing this until they give us what we need across the board, you know?
Bree, a few moments ago, I saw you you started crying. It was emotional for not just you, but many folks here. Explain to me a little bit more about, what did you have doubts leading into this verdict? How much anticipation, how worried were you about this?
Of course I had doubts. We have doubts every time something happens. I mean, we have doubts when the police say that he's unarmed and, Adam Toledo had his hands up. We have doubts when they lie about what the cameras are. We always have doubts, and this was definitive and this was solidified, and we finally got the justice that we needed. people see it on the news and they don't understand, but living here and breathing this energy in every single day, it's so much, and it finally feels like the smoke has cleared just a tiny bit, enough just to take a deep breath, you know?
Tell our viewers a little bit about yourself. Wow. You were telling me you're 31 years old. You've lived in Minneapolis for how long? 10 years?
Yeah, over 10 years in St. Paul and Minneapolis, and you know, this is what I would call home. My friends are here. Some of my most important families here.
Incredibly significant moment. I'm glad we were able to share this with you, Bree. Thank you so much for talking with us.
Yeah.
I love that they kicked it to
we
Gabe,
appreciate your time. Lester, what she told me is something just we saw unfold here just within the last few minutes. If we can look around, you know, this is
well, I'll tell you what, man.
Yeah. Wow.
That verdict is the right verdict, but that verdict literally saved that city from burning to the ground. That city would have burned to the ground, bro.
And let me just say, that verdict was the right verdict, and that interviewee that Gabe got was the right interviewee for the post, and you know what I mean? Because you'd have to remember, like, no one knew what the verdict was going to be, and he picked this one person out of the crowd, and this woman turned out to be a hell of an interviewee on both ends of that verdict, man. That's a really great journalistic guy that Gabe or his producer, one of the two, like had did.
I agree.
Well played, Gabe Gutierrez. You're the man.
I agree. Look at these
You're the man.
Downtown
We're going to tweet this at Gabe later.
Relief from
we
people
should. Great
like
job.
Bree Graham, who did not know what would happen and who told us how this is something she'd been waiting for. And now
Bree
the question
Graham,
becomes, is this just...
I don't know how he kept. I don't know how he stopped from crying, man. Because honestly, like, that was like a choke you up kind of interview he just did with Bree Graham. Bree Graham is a hell of an interview. Everybody should have Bree Graham on their show tonight.
No, man, no doubt, man. I think she'll be back. She'll be back on TV.
Hopefully.
I do. I mean, this is.
Go back to Gabe. See what's Gabe.
Thank you for just joining us. Guilty on all counts against Derek Chauvin, who watched the jury or looked out toward the judge. His eyes darting, but a very serious, focused look as he heard those counts, all three verdicts read against him. And as we noted, he is now in the custody of the county sheriff there. And will remain in custody pending.
Or is it though? What if the Maxine Waters thing does result in him?
Well, that's for another day, bro. But I'll tell you what,
Danny, obviously a huge.
I'll tell you what, his compadres, they know what's coming. They just sat there and did nothing. I mean, literally nothing.
Yeah.
It's like, how do you let someone just do that and not just like step in? I mean, it's like you take an oath to protect and serve, and
we just got 15 minutes from Leanne because our guest needs a little bit of breathing room after that really emotional, amazing verdict.
Oh, that's awesome.
So we got 15 minutes. I think we should kill it. All right, so we got like 20 hours of ECAM time.
Absolutely.
Let's just sit here for 30 minutes talking.
Did you can you text Mungie?
About yeah.
Yeah, can you tell her we're gonna push it back?
I got you.
We'll push her back about another 30 minutes. That'll give us enough time.
So, viewer, just so you know, Ivan here is producing a lot of new talent, including me, which has been, I don't know, to me, the most fun project I've worked on in years. I can't remember a project this fun. So,
and if you guys like what we're doing, please subscribe, follow us. The support really helps us out. We're just trying to, we're just getting our sea legs under us, and we're just hopefully getting better over time. Today was our first live stream. I think it was appropriate enough on this, momentous day that we're seeing.
What a day, man! What a day!
Yeah. I mean, I'm looking at these people here in these streets. How they're packed, and it's just like I'm thinking to myself, that city literally. It was just saved by that verdict, like literally just saved, because I tell you what, it would have been crazy. And a part of me, I was thinking about this, is like being a juror in that town, in that city, you probably, I mean, regardless if you're sequestered and you didn't watch news and you did everything the right way, in the back of your mind, that like, hey, if this guy isn't guilty, man, it's like this town's going to burn. Like, it will burn. I mean, sometimes you gotta here. Let me. I'll show you in a second. But you gotta
Yeah,
kind
sometimes you got
you
sometimes
gotta
you gotta burn
sacrifice.
shit,
Yeah,
man.
you got. Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I think that's the way to do it. You said it on one of the interviews, like in Chile. You guys you guys burn things and tires, but people
Yeah,
don't
no,
die. But people don't die. That's
no,
the difference. Well,
no. People
normally.
don't often die.
Yeah.
Like if you think about it, we have a unique culture in in the United States of mass shootings, right? So it's like we're desensitized to like somebody like maybe taking out a knife and stabbing somebody a few times at a protest. It's like, oh well, at least nobody got murdered with a gun. But in other countries, like in Chile, I've always found when I've been down there that when people do pick out a knife and somebody does get stabbed, everybody kind of takes a step back for like at least a few hours, right? And it's just like, hold on, this shit just got real, you know? So I think that you're right. I think that your instinct is correct. I think that like if this would have been a not guilty on all counts kind of situation, you know what I mean? Pobrecitos. It would have been bad.
It would have been real bad. And it would have gone across the country. But like I told you earlier when you and I were talking, that, I think what I said to you earlier was, if he's not guilty, towns are going to burn. If he's guilty, all these, white supremacists, stupid fucks, I mean, they're not going to do anything. They're just all bark, no bite. But at the end, I mean, I can't really say that. I mean, obviously,
and 410 of them are in jail for storming, or have been arrested rather for storming the Capitol. 410. That's really interesting to me because I was actually there as covering it for El Tecolote. I was there at like sort of like apex of white supremacy culture in the United States so far. The storming of the Capitol, something that will be remembered for time immemorial. Is the only time, at least the first, maybe not the only time, but the first time.
Yeah.
That we turned on ourselves in such a way so as to like completely deface that particular building and institution and the institution of elections. So now that we have this press pass to go into the Capitol and cover things. What do you think, Ivan, the question is today then, or like tomorrow? Not say like today, like you're right. Let's let today be today.
The question that comes to mind to me is, okay, this is a step towards police reform. It's like, all right, what are those reforms? Let's is the rubber going to meet the road, and are we going to make those reforms? I think the whole defund the police, that definitely was whoever branded that was the biggest idiot in marketing ever, because you could have branded that the right way and just be like, hey, just reallocate those funds to services. I mean, look, I have friends that are cops. I mean, here in town. And, we go camping with his family, multiple times. We've done it over the years. Good family. He's been at it for 20 plus years here in Andover. He's an awesome guy. He's an awesome cop. It's a tough job. But at the same time, it's like, does he have to be the social worker? Does he have to be the mental health care worker? Does he have to be the police officer? Does he have to be the therapist? No, man, that's a lot. I mean, any one of those jobs in and of itself, is tough as it is to try to do them all. I mean, I think it's unrealistic. And, but at the same time, I think I just saw a story, and I'll have to like find it, but there was a sheriff, and one of the things that he said in this article was when he was coming up for a promotion, he's like the chief now, but he had got passed over before, and the person that got it before him, he had a degree, and that was the reason he got it. And I think that the premise of that story is like, it's, you can be 18 to 21 years old, no college degree, a GED, go do a, 11, 12, 16 week police academy. You go out, you get a badge and a gun, and you have like really no life experience whatsoever or education about anything that has to do with like just societies as a whole. And then you're out there expected to do all these things, right? It's like, I think that police officers should have a minimum bachelor's degree, spend time, go to college, get educated, learn something, right? And get some critical thinking skills, because it's like, I think that's lacking. Let's see what this girl has to say, or this woman has to say.
Kristen Welker.
Is that her name?
Official says he will call for peaceful protests. A White House official just giving me a sense of some of the reaction that is taking place here behind the scenes. This official says the view is that essentially these were the facts. When I asked if justice had been served, this official said yes. Now, again, we will have to wait to hear from President Biden to see what the official response is from the White House. But I want to go back to the point that you were just talking about. What happens next? President Biden is approaching his 100th day in office. He has made the issue of criminal justice reform one of his key promises, one of the things that he has said he wants to make progress on. We know that behind the scenes he has been pushing for the George Floyd bill to move through Congress. It's a piece of legislation, Lester, that has passed through the House. It's stalled right now in the Senate. There is a bipartisan push to get it passed, but it's not clear that there are enough votes to have that happen. What that legislation would do is that it would make it easier to prosecute police who are engaged in misconduct. So that's the legislative focus. But what, if any, more actions can the president take on his own? Are there executive actions that he will announce? For example, we know that this administration has been talking about a potential.
I just think that there's definitely way more good cops than bad cops. And I just think that the good cops just need to start, it was very.
Hold on, I can't hear you.
Oh, no problem. It was,
my bad.
I was saying
what were you saying?
I was just saying that I'm a firm believer that there's way more good cops than bad cops. Absolutely. And I just think that during this trial, so many police officers literally, stepped over that thin blue line, they call it, and they testified against him. But it was the right thing to do. It's like, it's just like, how do you see that?
Here's a question for you. Are there more, if racism is rooted into the fabric of American society as the original sin that Obama talks about in Dreams of Our Father, for example, and a lot of other people have talked about it too, are there non-racist cops if they're enforcing a racist system? Because if you say that there are good cops and there are bad cops, it's sort of like, I feel like we're operating under a certain presupposition that it's a racist system, right? In which case that the only way that there's a good cop is if they're actually fighting against that system within the system, which makes them a bad cop because they're not maintaining the system, if you will.
Yeah.
And the media is something that's a lot more opaque than just sort of like, fight the system. To me, it's like, okay, I've never had a problem with any cop, but I'm also very white passing. No one would ever mistake me for a black person. You know what I mean? So I don't know any black people who have that same. Of all the black people I've ever talked to about this, I've never met one that said, no, man, I'm exactly like you, dude. I've never had a problem with a cop. It seems like it's almost universal with black men in particular, right? That the cops end up having a problem with them. You know what I mean? But I've been pulled over. I've been at the scene of many encounters with police, right? DC's a protest town. They're always police, but they always just wave me through. You know what I mean? As soon as it's clear that I'm not part of, I'm just moving along here, then whatever. You know what I mean? No matter how, sort of fucked up I've been at a party or at an event or whatever, the police have always been there to help me, right? Yeah. But again, if any black person I've ever had this conversation with, you know what I mean? They'd never say, yeah, me too, man. It's always like, no, dude, actually, this is what, it's sort of like when Krishna told us on that interview we did with Krishna Cynical, the Indian-American from South Bend, Indiana, who I used to bartend with at the Madison Oyster Bar. He talked about the airports as being sort of like a touch point of racism, the police are a touch point of racism with the black community. It's like the airports are a touch point of racism with what he described anyway as the Indian-American community. In fact, I think that was even the title of our video with Krishna's interview. So, yeah, I don't know. I have this vague notion that, I agree with Obama. I agree with a lot of these scholars who have said that this is an inherently racist society, right? But in that case, it's the enforcers of that racism, this guilty on our charges, Derek Chauvin, right? Are there good cops? Like, is sort of the question. I like to think they are. I have had police in my family too, and I think they're really good people, right? But I don't have to work with them. I don't have to live. I don't live in the same society as them. You know what I mean? I've never been pulled over by them on a dark night and a lonely road, right? Like, so yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of torn.
Well,
I don't think that there's a good ICE agent. I don't believe in I just don't think that there could be a good ICE agent. You know what I mean? Like, if you're a deportation agent for the United States government, to me, it's just like, man, your job is inherently racist, you know?
Yeah, but I think talking about ICE agents and I don't really put ICE agents in the same vein as police officers, right? I mean,
they both say police on their badge when they come through your door.
Well, they do, yes, but I think that the cops in town, I think that I mean, I genuinely believe that cops in town should enforce the laws. They shouldn't racially profile, but they do. I mean, it's obvious,
Mabel,
and I think that there's definitely, like I said, there's way more good cops than there are bad cops, but I think it's just one of those, organizations or professions that are so, tight knit, and I think that there's so many, unwritten codes of operating, right, within them, that I think it's tough to. I think even if there was good cops, and I don't know. I mean, I think that even if the good cops try to do all the right things all the time, I think that the pressure to just stay silent is just so overwhelming. I think, and I think you.
Plus a bunch of guys with guns, man. You don't want to cross them, even if you know it's right.
Yeah, well,
right?
Yeah. I mean, like what your friend Bradley said to us. I mean, I've been thinking about it. Just as of late, it's just like he said. It's like
the two things to say to a police officer.
The three things to say. One, am I free to leave?
Am I free to leave?
If they say no, then you say, I do not consent to any searches.
And I have nothing to say.
And I have nothing else to say. And then,
but
knowing that they're going to try to coerce you to say
that.
things. I mean, that's it. It's like if you say, I mean, if people would just ingrain
I do one of these.
Yeah, if you ingrain that in your mind.
I already told you, I do not consent to any searches and I have nothing to say.
Yeah, but and even if you get arrested, you just don't get booked, don't say anything else, and just, they're going to have to kind of, drag it out of you. But I'm not, it's like, you got to, but to think that you would have to interact at that level. I mean, I don't want to interact with cops like that. I mean, dude, they have a tough job as it is. I mean, it's
no, that's the thing. And that's the thing. It wasn't until the YouTube era.
Yeah.
Or not even just the YouTube. It was more like the Facebook Live era of police, of counter surveillance against the police. But
dude, it happened with Rodney Pete. It happened with Rodney Pete, and look what happened then, man. LA burned.
Dude, were you in LA at the time of the
No,
Rodney
I was
King
actually
verdict?
I had just arrived in Guam. I had just joined the Navy in '92, and I just got, I was transitioning from like somewhere in Tennessee to Guam, and then when I got up there, I was watching it was like, I don't even know what time it was. The difference is so bad, but what is this guy? This guy, was that a Trump supporter with this flag there? Yeah, I mean, I just watched it on TV.
It doesn't look like a Trump flag.
Oh, no, it's Black Lives Matter. Cool.
Black Lives Matter, yeah.
All right, well, listen, it's 5:30, bro. I know we got a few more minutes, but I'm going to jump. I got to do a couple things. Got to let the two little doggies out, hang out and do their thing while I get ready for Leanne's video. But it's a good day, 420. Not a bad way for those 420ers to celebrate. Justice was served.
But like you said, it was a moment of justice. It was a more like, what was what was her name? Bree.
Yeah, Bree. I don't know.
Bree.
I didn't get her last name.
Yeah, Bree Gabe Gutierrez interviewee. She said it was like a moment of justice, a morsel of justice, and it's something to be savored. So I think this is a good way. I'm happy 420 to everybody out there.
Yeah. So
on the internet.
Everyone stay safe and remember the 3 rules. Am I free to leave?
Yeah.
I don't consent to any searches, and I have nothing else to say.
Yeah. And rule number 4: get vaccinated.
Get vaccinated. All right, guys, take care.